All right, Chad and Steve with another video, and I did a video earlier this morning, and I decided to redo it because it's kind of complicated. I'm trying to keep it pretty simple, but it caught my attention. It's based on an article that I read, and normally most of the time I talk about real life experiences and the experience that patients have here, but this is based on an article. What caught my attention about it is that normally when we go from one life to the next life, there's a transition period. There's a time to reflect, a time to make all the, whatever you experience in this, whatever life that you're in, you reflect upon it and the people that are involved in it, and it just, you get an overall idea of what you learned out of this life that you were just in. But not in this case. And what happened, and that's what I kind of need to explain a little bit further, but what happened in this particular case, it was about an individual who had any experience, but he went from one life immediately into the next. There was no transition whatsoever. There was no kind of reflection, whatever went on. And this is what, it kind of needs to be explained a little bit further on this, is that number one, nothing is ever done without your consent. You have to agree. Nothing is ever forced on you. The second thing is that it must have been agreed upon before he agreed upon that he was going to go from one life immediately into the next. And so there was no transition. But you have to understand a little bit further on this. In a state that you're in before you go in any other life that you're in, you have a total comprehension of all the experiences that you've had, of all the learnings that you've had. Nothing is really lost. But when you go into one life, into any life that you're about to experience, all the stuff that you've ever known, all the experiences you had, all the friends, everything else is temporarily erased. It has to. Because you have to live the life that you're about to go into for real. And that's the only way you really get a sense of what the experience is, what you're going to learn out of it. But as I said, in this case, it didn't happen that way, and he went from one experience to one life into the next life. Let me explain a little bit on the NDE, and basically what happened, he had some sort of a violent incident that happened in his life. During the violence, he had an NDE experience, and what he found himself in is that he was in kind of a void to begin with, and then he went into, it seemed like he was going way in the future, some kind of a future that, real tall buildings, and he had a sense that it was really, very, very much in the future, and that's the life that he was about to go into, from the life that he was just in, going into the future. And what happened is that there was, he saw beings off to his right, they were talking to each other, mentally, mental telepathy, but they were talking to each other that he had prepared for the next life. And they had this kind of machinery, and that's a whole other discussion too, because sometimes you wonder what kind of machines are being used in the next life. But in this particular case, this machine, what it was supposed to do was to erase your memory. It was getting you prepared for the life that you're about to go into, and this machine was going to do that. And you're inserted into the machine, and the thing spins around you, and as it spins around you, it erases your memory and gets you prepared, as I said before, into the next life. But anyway, that's what happened, and as he was in this machine, it was spinning around very fast, and he started to lose his memory of all the people that he knew, all the families, all the experiences that he had in the life that he had. It was all starting to be erased, and suddenly it stopped. What happened is, and he was kind of startled about it, but what happened is another being that came in and said that the life that he was just in was not over yet, because there were things that he had to do. And so, and then we talked about this too, are there oops moments? Are there moments where there are some mistakes? And that's something I'm going to leave open, but it seemed like in this case that there's something that there was some sort of mistake, and they had to, he had more things to do in his life. It was not over. And so basically what happened is that he went into, the life that he was born to go into was starting to fade out. And he was coming back into life, and he was starting to have all the memories coming back into his life, and things were going on. During that time of transition, he saw the coming white light. And during the coming white light that he experienced, he had an idea, or he had an insight, things that he had to do in the life that he was just in. And so basically, that's really kind of, and nothing was discussed about what were the insights were. Sometimes things are just kind of kept private, things are not discussed or whatever. But he had the news that he knew what he would have to do. But the bad news that was coming into the life is that he started feeling terrible pain, horrific pain. And he knew that when he was going back into the life that he was just in, he was going to go quite through an ordeal. but at the same time, you had a real sense of what was needed to be done in this experience that he was about to go back into. Anyway, that's the ending experience, and what caught my attention is that, instead of that transition, there was a time of reflection. He went into the next life immediately, and so I find it interesting. And what I find interesting too is that, boy, there's so many things that go on in the next life. We have no idea what's going to happen. So many different kind of possibilities. I'm talking about everything and anything is possible with God. But I think the point to make is that you're not done in one lifetime until you really have completed it, and you really have to complete it. You have to get whatever your mission is, it has to be completed. You cannot go into the next life. You have to have it completed. But anyway, that's the story, and I wanted to share it with you because I found it interesting. But anyway, I'm going to end it here, and I said I just wanted to share it with you because I thought it was interesting. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead, and as I always do, I hope your day is going well. And until the next video, really appreciate your time watching it, and thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.